So welcome to another video. I'm making this video for Nuke. He's doing this scene with this lighting, and I'm just gonna show how I would approach it. Although I'm doing a nighttime, because he said he was having issue doing nighttime. Couple of things to remember. I've already tried working on this scene, but I have a Unity issue where I do the baking and it just keeps trying to bake forever, and it happens on every Unity version. It happens on every project, every scene, and I haven't been able to figure out what it is. So this video will be a bit weird because I have to shut down, pause, restart to actually do this video for him. So I will not bake too much in the beginning. What I will do first is just generally place out the lights very quickly, show the process of building the mood, and then I will probably do a couple of other things. So let's have a look. So I just placed the moonlight kind of over here, and I will have a post-process volume. That's not doing anything right now, and I will try and bake eventually. So what I'm going to do for now, I know for a fact that most of his props were not on static, so I'm just gonna do that very quickly to get them on static everywhere, most of the places. I also remember seeing castle not being static, so I'll keep that on static too for now, and that should cover most of the stuff. So click save for this, and what's gonna happen now, because I will be baking a lot or some of it, just gonna overdo something. I don't recommend doing it on this level. I'm gonna put out some light probes. I will try not to overdo it actually. Let me just get it right the first time, because it does come with a rendering time these days. So what I'm gonna do, I'm just gonna copy all of it, kind of put it maybe like this, and then here, here, here. So that's basically what I'm gonna do. So I'm gonna pause the video so you don't actually have to see me do it. So yeah, so it's a bit an overkill, but it's mostly just to be quick. I would definitely optimize it and be more thorough, but again, it takes a bit of time. And I will just look at the environment real quickly, kind of set it up on my previous attempt before it started bugging out a lot. Just gonna do 2, 4. Let's try 4, maybe it will work. Okay. Control save, and let's see if it will not bug out second render, because I have this issue. I just start increasing the time and I have to again. You can see the scene is kind of, they're getting bounce light in the different areas. That is not being baked. You can also see this one doesn't stand out that much anymore. So the idea is to keep it somewhat dark as well, right? So let's do a mixed and do another version. This is very time consuming. I originally started this 8 o'clock, so you can see it's 11 o'clock now, so it's not been the most productive or useful thing of my day, unfortunately, but I said I would do it, so I'm gonna do it, but I'll have to be a bit more sloppy and quick. So okay, you have the light, it's a bright night, I suppose, and you can see the shadows, so that's okay. Be okay with that. Now, I normally will spend a lot more time fixing the directional light, making sure it placed correctly where I want it, but it's just the general principles. Now here's the thing. He does have a prefab, I think. So we'll use the prefab, and we'll add in I guess we're gonna try and bake, so let's first try bake, and then hopefully we can save time if we can get this first one correct. So this is the light, this is the point light, so we want to have some real-time shadow. We're gonna go for 4. And we're going to go for a bit of a dark orange or something, I guess. Something like this maybe. And obviously we want to cast some soft shadow. And then we need to be able to get the shape we want. Now in these cases you see the shadow it is casting might not be the shadow you want, so in these cases I would probably make cookies. Generally speaking I would make a cookie, but not in this tutorial or this guide tutorial. So what I'll do instead, I'll click on this one and do I want to do that? Sure. Let's make sure it doesn't cast any shadow and just see how it looks. We can get away with it, and it's also cheaper. It's more optimized, but it might be a bit too bright. Let's see. 8. 4, 3. So there's a lot of them, right? So you wanna kind of make sure they have not too wide of a coverage, so there's a bit of shadow coming from them and a bit of coverage. So let's have a look. Okay. Personally, I wouldn't have that many there, so again, I'm not going to change that. There's a lot of things I would change, but I'm not changing. I guess I can give some feedback on that if needed in the future. It does annoy me though, so just removable. It's just a little tiny thing. Don't worry. I mean, you want the player to go this direction, I assume. So maybe even consider having a bit of a light on one of these areas. That's kind of cool. Get this one a bit bright. And I mean, this isn't even. I mean, you gotta keep it somewhat within the same distance, a little bit at least, man. A little bit. Doesn't make sense to have one. Then there's some inconsistency in the lighting, which I don't recommend having at all. I would definitely consider where you want those lights and to be a bit consistent. So I would probably not have this one there just because you already have a certain pattern going on, and you should probably keep doing that pattern for your project. Okay, you can see the most of the stuff. Let's try and do this one. I said I wasn't going to do it, but just a little bit. I'm not going to spend more of my day on this, but let's do it. Have a little bit. it's just for the player to know where to go, because you have these as well, so I'm not doing too much with that. And you have these stone lamps, and they're not the same. They're different, smaller. I mean, I think you have too many different light sources. I don't think you need that many. It's just you're overdoing it a bit. This might not even be the right lighting even for this type of scenery. This might actually be better in some cases. So actually this is pretty time consuming if I were to do it super properly. But you can see at least what's going on. Let's just risk it because I'm curious. Let's just do another bake, see if it's going into that endless global illumination problem. Maybe. Okay. Right, so that's good. And then we can have a look at these. And let's have a look. Let's do I don't know. Let's try showing another technique. Do a spotlight. I do a point light. Put that on like 3, but put it on like 5. Then do a spotlight. And the reason for that is you want the spotlight to be what's casting sorry about the background noises, a little bit other people. And we want this one to be the mixed one, kind of like this. We don't need that much of a range actually, so make it a bit subtle. Can even consider doing a bit more, so it will be kind of like here. Yep. Then the point light is the cheap one, so you're not actually using it for anything except filling out the area a little bit more than the indirect light. This is more important. If you had this on as real-time light, this would be even more valuable, and this is what you could have been doing in that case. And it doesn't need to cast shadow either. This one can cast shadow because if the characters come around, you want it to have a certain believability, right? Let's spread it out a little bit, not too much. And then you can do this one. You can increase it a bit, right? And I think this one probably doesn't have it. It does have it, but it has the previous settings. Okay. So just see 10, 3, 1, 6, 3 is not actually the easiest to remember. Let's do 155. And also let's put this to see that. here. So we want to make sure it's the correct color. We want to make sure it's actually going down. And we want to make sure it's around 6, I think it was, and 150, was it? 155. And the intensity was 4. 2 mixed. Cast shadow. Just put it on this one already. And this one, I think, might be okay. So you can see the issue is you have just a lot of it around, and I don't think you need a lot of it. So again, I would definitely consider fixing just the way you're using the light sources and fine-tuning them a little bit. Actually, I'm going to pause the video. I'm going to do something quickly. Okay, so what I've done, I've deleted more or less all the lights, and I'm going to see if I can try and find them again. Hopefully. Okay, so this one makes sense to have outside of buildings, outside in the wood. So we'll put that like somewhere that gives interesting shadow, shape and form. Okay, so maybe like somewhere around there, or maybe you want to do it like near the door. Maybe you have it not close to the door, maybe you have it like out here, but I kind of think it's interesting to have it like somewhere around there. And then maybe you have another one, I don't know, around here. I have these two. Well, I guess you could turn them on. And yeah, so you can see it gives a bit of more of the feeling that, okay, that's a building outside. You could even do like this. I mean, that could work too in this case, because they already been there for a while and they kind of grew out, right? Again, I would have made a cookie, and I would probably have false spotlight instead and match the cookies in a more general sense. So let's copy the pattern here, because you want to have some color coding and shape language when you do this kind of lighting. I'm not doing it like super properly as usual, but it should give you an idea. So here I'm trying to put it here so you have some interesting shadow happening. And again, it's to lead the player to building. And then you could do the same here. And kind of establish that this side, you know, have this kind of light. Might be too bright, but I don't know if you have a missive on them, but I would definitely go a long way. Okay, so in this case I'm not necessarily happy with my color choice, so I'm actually gonna make it a bit more like this. probably, and then I will go to the HDR and I will pick it, then I will kind of make it a bit brighter, like so. Now it makes sense. A bit bright, but I think we can probably get away with my 6. And also let's make this mixed, if that's gonna be our main light here. Okay. So, you know, you're outside, you're moving around, it's dark, but we have some light sources leading you from pool of light from dark and bright, right? I'm gonna pause a bit. Okay, bake was okay for now. So you can see, now normally I wouldn't generally allow this kind of tone. I would put maybe a spotlight or something to kind of make it even more tonal. But yeah, I mean, we can see if it works, if we can actually get away with 8, but instead we dim it down slightly. I guess that works too. Yeah, it's because it fades into the woods, which is kind of cool. So it's like bright and then it gets dark. That works. Think of that, and it gives the shape and form when you're walking around, right? Now, you could take this and you could place it maybe like somewhere around here, so it's like consistency on this side perhaps. I'm just looking for some shadows like up here. And then okay. Or we could place that, you know, maybe around here. Or we could allow the gate to be dark. That's another thing. So it's kind of bright this way rather than the other way. So it's a bit more contrasty. And I'll show you why. Because what you can also do in these cases, you can add a spotlight, right? And if we click the directional light, just make sure we have this particular blue. Click the spotlight, click the blue, have it cast soft shadow, make it real time in this case. Right, so you can use the environment by putting it in places. Now I would probably use a cookie in this case too, so you could kind of look for something that works, right? So without and with, right? So these are just some of the ideas like you could do. Now obviously I would spend more time and I would make it even more complicated, but it gives you an idea, and also gives you this spot here which you might or might not want. So what you want to make sure is, according to where the moonlight is, you want to make sure that you have the correct direction. So let's look at the directional light. What you can also do in this case, you can do this. If you just want to do it with the actual light, you can turn it off and see how it looks. You can see it also does the work. So I mean, it depends on what you want to do. So here we have like this side, I guess, and just want to check something out. That, something like that. Then let's kind of make it 7, a bit more brighter. See if we can get away with it. Probably not. Then okay, and then I think on this area we can use this lighting here. So I would probably have done like a bit longer interesting paths for the like the nature part. Okay, put it down to the ground. I thought it was already the ground, but I guess not. And we put it down like so, and you know, you have it, I don't know, kind of to highlight the bench. I mean, that works. And you might also decide to put it on this side, just to highlight the gate. That's possible too. Get that highlight here. And you might decide, okay, maybe you want it to already start over here. You could be creative and just say, okay, I want this to be part of this. So that's also possible. You could argue for a design for that. So let's put this like, I don't know, pop it in the middle here, like so. To define, kind of like that. I'm not too picky about it. Could even, guess we have to make sure. Now what I'm noticing is it's not doing exactly what I would want it to do. So first thing I want to see if it has a music channel. Yeah, just gonna give it a bit of a formal look to it. Something like that. And then I'm gonna open the prefab. In this case I want a bigger range, actually, like 8. And I want this to be 8. And look, okay. So you can see a little bit. Now you might decide that you want that to happen here as well, to have kind of like a system to it. but I will probably do it like more like here, and I would probably do the same for this one, because I just want to have some consistency for now. Okay, so you can see like it's dark and there's enough light to move around, so to speak. And then I remember there was something here. We might decide to have this one more like this, maybe. Right, put it a bit up. Right, so when you're walking, there's still a bit of darkness coming. Then you see this little spot. And if you wanted to highlight these, I deleted some of them, I admit. So if you wanted to highlight some of these areas, you might decide to put them around. But if you do that, you're suggesting that the player follows the spot. Now, this is a pretty open area, so I'm not sure. I mean, it can look good, but what we can do instead is we can use this one to kind of highlight that there is in fact like this area here, and then there's pretty dark over there, and it's okay if you want to keep it dark. You get this light under the tree and you highlight this area a bit. I might do this one even more exaggerated because of just the style of everything we have going. So it kind of fades a bit more in. So when you come up here, walking around, and the player is like, ooh, what's that? You're leading the player towards that direction rather than somewhere else. Now, if you had anything else that was important over here, sure, you could do something. Like if you had something hidden or something, you might want to put some light in the woods. That's an option too. And then you could take this one, and you could perhaps lead the player towards here. And then again, you could lead the player over here, or you could just not have too many here because you're getting closer to the side where there is moonlight. So you could say, okay, let's do that. Put it maybe somewhere here. Right, and then you might want to reuse these when you get actually inside. So perhaps when you get into this area, you have like light source here. So you get to see the trees, and maybe you have something there. Get those shadows. Maybe you want it over there to get some of the shape. Everything. You can see there's a warmer mood over there, right? And yeah, I'm gonna pause, do a test render, So this is how it looks so far. With the baking, these are kind of too bright, but yeah. So the character goes there, sees a bench, goes there, has a look, turns around, sees some light source, follows it, you know, and whatever happens there, happens there. Now, obviously I would start tweaking things, you know, the color, the intensity even more, and tweak things. But assuming I did that, next things I would probably do is I would look at some of the areas and see, can I exaggerate to create more story and shape and form? For example, because of the type of game and style it is, you can do a bit more. So I would maybe I would go into the lighting here. Yes, we could first try and put these on the props, I suppose. Okay, so let's pretend I am doing this and I'm like having a look, and then I'm aiming up here and I'm picking I don't know, this color, and I'm kind of expanding it and I'm kind of intensifying it, and I'm putting it like over here. Then I'm going to this, open the prefab, go to the point light, make sure it's the right color, and I might be like, okay, is there a way I can accentuate this in a way that makes sense? So I might like look for stuff like this. Now I might figure out, okay, is there a way I can do this with no shadow, because that's expensive if you keep doing this. So I might do like this, and then I might be copying this and go, okay, is there a way I can push this light even further in? So I might go there and go, okay, let's pretend that this light is pretty strong and it's like casting light pretty far in to this area, right? So I would probably start doing stuff like that as well, and play around with those kind of things. And I will like turn it on and off and say, okay, does it work, does it not work, does it create more interest, yes, no, stuff like that. On, off, tweak it, right? And might be the same here. I might go look, okay, do I need more light here? Okay, what do I do? Maybe I put it up, down, you know, kind of finding a way to justify it, you know. And I don't know what's wrong with my voice, so I apologize for that. Okay, with the light go. So yeah, you have to have the right color, because if you don't have the right color, it stands out. If you have the right color, it doesn't stand out as much. So it might be okay, you need to have a bit more light here, on, off, right? So I will be doing stuff like this, and then I would maybe go here and okay, that's the moonlight. I have a reason to have maybe something super exaggerated in blue, so I might be going, okay, how far can I push something that from a direction the player might not see. So I might be going in and I might be playing around with things like this also. Then I might decide, okay, does this work, or should I maybe turn this off, you know, and would evaluate these kind of things. Right. In this case, I would actually make a cookie with leaves and have it hit. And what else would I do? I would, yeah, I would definitely start painting this one a bit more. So maybe you'll do like a point light, and you might be going in, trying to highlight some of the areas. You know, like here, or you might go, okay, let's put some more moonlight coming in here, make that brighter. Okay, I think that works. And then you might go, okay, we don't need this then, right? So we'll be doing these kind of evaluation and tweaks next. We'll play around with, you know, is spotlight that works best, what's working best, and what makes sense depending on the game and the characters and whatever you have going at the moment, right? Because that's one of the things. I might look at it, okay, I want some shape on the tree. Right, so you might go focus on that instead. Right. And you might decide, okay, you need more shape in other places. So you might go to 10, and you might say, okay, that's the moon. Well, we're okay, so maybe you say, okay, let's have a bit of a thing going here. You know, you might say, okay, let's go in here and have a look. We can see this area, so let's emphasize this area. Maybe you decide to push it a bit. Then you might be like, okay, let's have this area a bit emphasized as well. Right? So when you're like walking around, you know, you see that there is some moonlight hotspot going around in different areas. That would make sense to what's going on. So, right, so you might go, okay, let's make it here as well. So I mean, you would just be tweaking things like that and kind of getting a feel for things that works. See that? Things like that. We're probably doing like that. And yeah, and then the next thing I will probably do, I will go into the post-process volume maybe, and I will then start looking at some of the effects. So I might be, actually before that, I would probably check the reflections. So I will probably do like a tire reflection cube here. Right, put it up, do a bake, see if it does any trick. Increase the settings to 512. Does it do any trick? Intensity. How does it react? Right, and I would then look at stuff and see what's going on. In this kind of game, I mean, it's not a big deal, so you might just go something like this, right? This area, and you might go something like this area. Like so. You might go even more like this area, right? But in this case you would go a bit up. I would obviously organize my things a bit more. Did I accidentally move without duplicating again? Okay, so you want to move this back then because of the mistake. Don't need it to be this tall. Just put it out a bit. I'm obviously being very quick and not proper here. Background reflection. Wait a bit. You know, so you would go through that process as well to kind of make sure that, you know, everything works. And then I would go into here, and I would probably, if need to, go into exposure. I'm not gonna get too complicated, but I might dim it down a little bit, you know, to make it even more contrasty and dark. So maybe around 7.5. I might go in and say, okay, let's add some bloom to kind of make things more fancy. Right, so you can see the bloom effects. Stuff like that. I will obviously tweak them so they only occur where I want them to occur. And the color is white, it's fine for now. I would probably, depending on stuff, have motion blur and stuff like that. I would most definitely go into color grading and start going on. I will probably use ACEs and then have a look at what happens here. Then I would go back to exposure, have a look, and see if I need to increase the exposure a bit. And then when you do that, you will notice, like when we said this was too bright, you can start spotting these kind of things. You can also obviously deal with these kind of things using a more complicated equation, because it's night, but I'm not gonna do that right now. So we will increase the exposure to about 1.8 in my case, and what we'll do instead, we'll go in here, go to the point light, and drop this down to maybe 1.5 for now. Have a look. It's alright. Okay, and then go back to the post process. I might go in there, and then I might go look at the temperature, and I might go, okay, it's not blue enough, so I might go, okay, let's make it a bit blue. Alright, and then I might go, okay, I need to lift the shadows a bit, so I might try and lift the shadows a bit. Might lift the gamma a little bit, and I might do a bit more highlight. Then I might say the shadows, I want them to be obviously a lot more blue. The gamma is the midtone, so I might say, okay, let's make it a bit purple. And the gain is where the most of the light sources are, so I say make it red, right? And then I say, okay, tweak the contrast a bit. And yeah, so that's basically what I would do. So this is what you end up with. You end up with a night scene with different tone, different placement of light to lead the player. You know, you have this highlights and tones going on. Things are easy to read, it's clear, but it still feels like it's night. You can see these. Now keep in mind, this would look better if the materials were correct. This would look better if things were actually designed to be unwrapped, because they are actually not. I know this by going to Bakelite map, and I can see these are stretched. So yeah, I mean, hopefully this was a useful tutorial on how I would approach this, and hopefully you can implement some of those ideas to your final delivery at your university. Keep in mind, he didn't pay me or anything. He didn't even ask me to do it. This was just a volunteer from my side to help out and give him some ideas on what to do. So I think that's it. Again, I've explained some of the stuff I would be doing, things I would be tweaking. I wouldn't call this completely done, but I think this is definitely a long way of how it was to how you could do it. It gives you a general idea of the process and the tools of what you can be doing. Thanks for watching.